Hey y'all, I'm Josh. I used to be the board president of Social Media Breakfast, and I did this every month for like 5 years. And then I haven't done this in a while, but I'm excited to be back. I still come to the events. I just don't usually speak, but today they asked me to come back, so here I am. So anybody here first time at Social Media Breakfast? Welcome, welcome. We're super happy to have you here. This is an amazing organization. I personally have been on the board for I think 10 years, give or take. So I mean it when I say I love this org. We are a nonprofit. We are focused on education and networking. It is our goal to ensure that the larger, greater Madison area community is at the leading edge of what is going on in digital marketing. Social media, of course, but also beyond, as we'll talk about today. We meet the third Wednesday of every month right here in this amazing space, which Andy will talk about in a minute. We also live stream on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're watching us online, hello. We're happy to have you with us on the internet. We are actively looking for new board members. I can tell you again, like I joined this board give or take 10 years ago and it changed my life. I can't imagine my experience in this community, like the digital marketing community or the Madison community, not having been on the board of this amazing organization. I discovered this org and I just never stopped coming. I've been doing this since 2016, like attending, and on the board since shortly thereafter. So if you are interested in joining us, we are actively looking for volunteers and board members. We are a 100% volunteer-driven organization. So if you're looking to get involved in an organization that will connect you to some of the coolest people who meet in Madison, let us know. Well, we are volunteer-driven. We are sponsor-supported. We do not exist without our amazing sponsors. We have lots of them, and we appreciate it. But right now, we're going to hear from one of them, our good friend, Andy from DreamBank.
All right, thanks, Josh. Good morning, everyone. Happy third Wednesday of the month. As Josh mentioned, my name is Andy Frisky. I work here at DreamBank. I know many of you are familiar with what DreamBank is, but for those of you who aren't, I'd love to share a little bit about what we do here at this space. So DreamBank is a free community resource that is put on by American Family Insurance. And everything we do here ladders up towards the inspiration and pursuit of dreams, in large part by helping to remove obstacles and barriers along the way. So how that shakes out is threefold, the largest being the events that we host. So hopefully all of you saw the postcard that was on your seat. So this is one of our events in particular I wanted to highlight. This is an in-person event coming up on, what was it? Yes, Tuesday, April 28th with Katie Ribb. So Katie Ribb is a serial entrepreneur. She owns Crossroads Coffee, the Creek Sky Scoop, and she will be talking a lot about idea validation and A/B testing in many of her businesses. So again, this is an in-person event here at DreamBank. There's a QR code on the back if you're interested in registering or attending. And one thing about all of our programming here in all of our offices is that it's free of charge to the end user. So if you wanted to attend all of our programming, if you wanted to utilize some of the other resources in the space I'll get into here in a second, there's no cost to you. So I would love to see you there. And then you can also head to our website, which is smbm.com/DreamBank, to get a really good idea of some of our upcoming programming events as well. So in addition to the in-person activations that we host, we also host a lot of virtual programming. I have a lot of our business-related events. So anything that may be tactic-focused, how do I generate more leads via Facebook ads, maybe more sharing frameworks or concepts of how do I implement AI into my workflows, for example. And everything in between, right? We also partner with a lot of subject matter experts that speak on overcoming specific obstacles and barriers in one's dream pursuit. I think we've all heard it. I'm sure we've all said it. I'd love to do that thing, but I just don't have it on time. That's a good example of a robust course that we built out here. We partnered with a gentleman by the name of John Zarazzi, who's done a lot of productivity work for various banking companies, manages a venture fund, and is based out of Milwaukee. So again, the breadth and depth of our offerings is really what I'm trying to showcase for you here today. In addition to the events that we host, we also function as a drop-in co-working space. So if you haven't had an opportunity to explore yet, if you head past the blue wall with our content calendar, a bunch of red tables and chairs, you'll see that's our co-working space. So our hours of operation are Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 5. You're always able to come in and have a quiet-ish place to work. Usually some good music and good vibes along the way. But again, no cost associated with that. I know many of you have utilized that space as well too. If you have any more questions about that, happy to answer those for you as well. And then all the way to the back of the space is our interactive exhibit. They're always rooted in positive psychology and to embody some of the beliefs and values of the organization. And just really cool intrinsic work that is going to be taken home and worked on, again, through the lens of dream pursuit. Lastly, if you folks are sitting on an advisory board or maybe a part of a small team looking for change of scenery, getting out of the office, a more inspirational space, we also offer up our spaces here for folks to reserve to free of charge. So again, Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 4:30 with that one. But if you are interested in inquiring more about utilizing the space, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. So hopefully that gives a little bit of more context as to who we are, what we do, and why we exist. And with that, I'm going to take it back to Josh.
Do coworkers have to bring their own coffee?
Oh, yes, we actually don't have enough. There's plenty of coffee. Nobody can outdrink all of our coffee.
There's the lead, y'all. Come on.
Yeah. For complimentary coffee, tea, water, snacks, again, for anyone in the space. So really embody kind of the belief of a third space. So Josh was on the east side, on the west side, looking for a central location to meet. You're more than able to utilize this space. So again, happy to chat more with you all after the session we're having today. Sweet.
So our nonprofit spotlight is Dan right there. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I guess they got held up by the storm. It was a pretty brutal storm. I don't know. But the Miracle League of Dane County provides children with cognitive and physical disabilities and special needs the opportunity to play the game of baseball. In theory, we love spotlighting nonprofits. We do it every month. They usually are here. They didn't make it today, but hopefully everything's okay. Again, it was a huge storm, so they might be dealing with some broken windows or whatnot. But check them out online. You can find them at DaneCountyMiracleLeague.org. And 'tis the season, yeah, spring. Okay, we are going to give away our last Facebook portal from 1997. Who's excited? Facebook reached out and gave these to us during COVID because they were trying to get people to use their products, and then by the time COVID ended, they had been discontinued, but they still work. That's the good thing. And we are super excited to give this one away to Brooke Schumann. There she is.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next month, we are going to hear from Steve Robinson, getting mentioned by AI, separating snake oil from sound advice. We all know that SEO is, for better or for worse, going the way of AEO. It used to be you wanted to get found on Google, now you got to get found by those chatbots. Steve is going to give us some advice to make sure that you and your brand are showing up when people ask relevant questions on chatbots. We already mentioned this, but we are actively looking for board members and volunteers. We don't work without y'all, like that's how this goes. So join us. We are looking for sponsors, both paid and food sponsors. We are looking for nonprofits to support. And we are looking for speakers. I think 2026 is getting close to full. I'm not sure about that, but certainly 2027 is open, and maybe parts of 2026. So you can find all of this applications and more info at SMBMad.org. We are obviously on all of the channels, and we would love to connect with you there. Otherwise, we get lonely. And with that, I'm gonna welcome up Tyler Wagner to talk about push and pull advertising.
I think I don't need this, right? I'm good with mine?
And then that one's for the live stream.
Plus, you look cool with the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
What's this guy for?
This one. I'll take this one.
Okay. Good morning. I'm gonna set a timer real quick so I keep this snappy. All right. It's not lost on me that you all could have chosen to spend your tax day with anyone, so thank you for spending it with me. Today we're going to talk about push and pull advertising. But first, let's set the stage. Attention is fragmented. Users are everywhere. You're probably everywhere, consuming different platforms, different media sources every day. So the challenge for businesses and advertisers is, where do I show up? How do I show up most effectively when attention is fragmented and when folks are on different channels at different times of the day? On top of that, we have headlines like this every day, right? Ads are coming to ChatGPT. If you have $50,000 to blow, you can be there too. Snapchat's an important advertising channel. Reddit's an important advertising channel. Everything is an important advertising channel, so where do we show up? If you don't have an unlimited advertising budget, we're going to talk about what to do with your more limited advertising budget today. If you do have an unlimited advertising budget, please talk to me afterwards. We can figure out what to do with that, what to test, and how to make the most of that too. The reality for most of us, though, is that every ad dollar has to work hard and has to prove its worth. So we're going to look at how to do that today. 3 whys. First was the context, why we're here. Why I'm here is because I've done this for a while. I've worked on mass appeal campaigns like album releases for Sabrina Carpenter or new book releases for Colleen Hoover, and more niche campaigns like human composting funeral homes or cemetery software for municipal cemeteries. Worked with brands like Amazon, the Country Music Hall of Fame, Fender. Do we have any musicians in the room? Musicians? Sign up with the Mechanical Licensing Collective, your mechanical royalties. Plug for those guys. Why we're talking about Google, Meta, and LinkedIn. Because Google and Meta have a duopoly. Most of the world's advertising budget goes to these 2 platforms. Each platform generates more than 4 times the third platform in terms of ad revenue. Any guesses on what this third platform is? Amazon? YouTube. YouTube is included in Google. That's a good call out. Let me define my terms. Alphabet owns a lot of properties, right? Google's holding companies. If you've heard of Google Search, YouTube, Performance Max, Demand Gen, Shopping, et cetera, it goes on and on. Meta, we're talking about Facebook, Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories, WhatsApp. So a lot's included there. I did hear Amazon. Amazon is third on this list, followed by ByteDance, the holding company for TikTok. What's not on here is Microsoft, who owns LinkedIn. We'll talk about that in a minute. Why do Meta and Alphabet or Google get so much advertising revenue? It's because where audiences are. Across all age demos, the majority of audiences are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Even Gen Z, that important audience. Where does LinkedIn fit in? Who's in B2B here? I figured. A lot of you all. There were a lot of hands up for the folks online. LinkedIn is not on this list, but it is the place where B2B buyers are. 81% of IT decision makers are on LinkedIn more than any other platform. And if we look at B2B budgets specifically, LinkedIn gets more than other tactics. Search gets a lot. We'll talk about the difference between non-brand and brand search, which you see up here. LinkedIn is getting more than those individual tactics. So it's important for B2B to know what's going on with LinkedIn. That's the stage. We've said it. Here's what's on the menu for today and what we're going to talk about for the next, 39 is generous. We'll say 36 minutes. We're going to talk about push and pull advertising, give us a framework to talk about these platforms, how to generate demand and then capture demand. And then we're going to give you some menus for Meta, LinkedIn, and Google. What's available to you, what's effective, and how do we get started? Before we jump in, any questions? Great. Push and pull advertising, basic schematic here. Push advertising, we are pushing out to a broad audience. They aren't asking for our messaging. Hopefully they're a qualified audience. Hopefully they want to hear from us, but they haven't expressed specific intent for our product, services, or brand. Pull advertising, we're capturing folks who have expressed intent, who want our services or brand. We are bringing them into our ecosystem. What does this look like? It might look like someone seeing a YouTube ad online, getting interrupted, trying to watch, I don't know, a concert performance or something and having your brand pop up. Down the line, maybe they're thinking of buying a steak and they search for your brand because we've won some mind share by creating demand on YouTube. So this is push advertising, pushing it out. Pull advertising is making sure those folks end up on our website when they're ready to buy. Good? If we zoom out a little bit, that was Google specific example there. This is what push and pull advertising might look like along a broader range of tactics. Over here, we're creating demand. We're trying to win hearts and minds. Over here, we're trying to win revenue. This is less measurable because if we push our messages out via radio or TV, it's harder to tell what worked. It's harder to say someone saw my ad on a local news channel or on YouTube, then came to my store and purchased. Not impossible, but more difficult. With all the goodness and tracking on Google, Meta, et cetera, if someone clicks an ad for our brand and then they buy on our website, that's measurable. So Less measurable on this end, more measurable on this end in general. Now you may be thinking, Tyler, if folks are more likely to buy on one end and I can measure it better, why would I not dedicate 100% of my budget over here? Isn't that where it's going to do the most work? The reality is we got to fill our funnel too, right? Because after those folks buy, who's coming in? We have to create demand to make sure that we have a consistent pipeline of customers coming to us. So today we're going to talk about advertising tactics that help fill the funnel and capture that demand. So we're not neglecting filling our funnel at the expense of getting customers today. We want to win today and tomorrow. Let's look at some platforms. Meta ads. Again, when I say Meta, we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Instagram Stories, Instagram Reels, WhatsApp, this whole ecosystem. You've probably seen Meta ads. We run Meta ads to show people dogs to get them to invest in services. We show Meta ads of influencers who are dogs to get them invest in products or services. And sometimes we run ads that are vaguely threatening, featuring Bucky Badger. We can do a lot of things on Meta. We can optimize for awareness if we want folks to learn about our brand and services. We can drive traffic to our website. We can get engagement on videos or creative that's impactful. We can get leads. We can get sales. These are all campaign optimizations on Meta. There are various detailed targeting methods. We can use our customer list to reach a qualified audience that we know. We can target specific interests to reach qualified people who we don't know. There are various options in between as well. But today we're going to talk about what moves the needle most on Meta, and that is creative. Who's heard creative is the new targeting from Meta? One person. Yeah, folks in this space. Meta has been pushing this for the last couple of years. And the reason is their algorithm changed over the last year, finalized in October 25. They introduced something called Andromeda. This is Meta integrating all their machine learning, all the information they have about you, me, everyone, to better match advertising campaigns to potential customers. What this means for you is that creative used to be, a touch point for your audience, right? They see your ad, hopefully they take action based on it. Now for Meta, creative is a signal. They are using the creative you give them to say, hey, this is an ad, it's an image with a dog on it. Scott, he likes ads with images of dogs on them. He's gonna get that. Susan doesn't like that, so we're not gonna show her this ad. This is how the algorithm works now. What this means is that more creative means more audience, because the more formats you have, the more creative approaches you have, the more potential customers you can reach. So it used to be that audience targeting mattered a lot, right? We know what our customer looks like, so we're gonna give Meta those inputs. That still matters, but now creative matters just as much. So we wanna have our audience targeting, but also have creative that unlocks that greater reach. Make sense? What does this look like? Meta's given us a cheat sheet that is somehow more overwhelming than not having a cheat sheet. We wanna mix different, this goes back to marketing fundamentals though. We want to test different messaging. We want to test different creative approaches. We should always be testing anyway. So we want to mix and match different messaging with different audiences, with different creative formats like carousels, like video, like influencer style videos. What does this look like in practice? Let's say we're running a tourism campaign. We might want to show people what the experience is like Door County does. We might want to show folks a variety of destinations and maybe lead them to a download like the trustees of the reservations do in Massachusetts. Up in Sauk County, they take a more branded approach, messaging forward. These are 3 creative approaches across different platforms: Instagram Stories, Facebook, Instagram, reaching different audiences. So if you take away one thing from this Meta section today, know that in order to activate, you need to have impactful creative. You want to have multiple creative variations. Creative matters a lot right now. So before we talk about budget, before we talk about getting your pixels right, getting tracking right, make sure that you have your creative in place and that you are investing in a good designer. We have good designers in this room, and a variety of approaches. What does this mean in terms of creating demand and capturing demand? That factors into creative too, right? We might try to reach users at the top of the funnel with a calming music for dogs playlist if they have a dog. Bring them in, get them acclimated with the product, And then down the line, capture that demand with an offer and more offer-focused creative. This is how our schematic, our strategy comes into play at the platform level. So in summary, when to activate on Meta. You want to engage existing leads or new audience with good targeting, and you have creative resources. Pause here. Any questions about Meta? Let's talk about LinkedIn. Variety of creative formats on LinkedIn as well. May have seen this campaign in Madison. I think Hebing did this. It's really good. Not every day you see a farmer in a field playing a trumpet. Video ad on Meta, LinkedIn. Video ad on LinkedIn. Document ad on LinkedIn. You've probably seen these. You have the swipe option. Carousel ad on LinkedIn. Probably seen these, a different swipe option. Similar to Meta, big menu here, right? We can optimize for a lot of different things. Raise awareness, drive traffic to our website, get leads, share a document, share our thought leadership, get applicants for a job, or get purchases or signups on our website. We talked about some of the ad types. The targeting is more advanced on LinkedIn. This is LinkedIn's differentiator. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to draw your attention to this number here. It's a lot bigger than the last one we saw for Meta. CPM. CPM is cost per mille. This is how much we're going to pay for 1,000 impressions. An impression is when an ad shows up on a user's screen. So for our LinkedIn ads, it's about 8 times more expensive on average to reach 1,000 users than it is on Meta. So you're asking, Tyler, why would I pay 8 times more to invest in LinkedIn than Meta? It's that audience quality. We have a lot of marketers in this room. We can reach very specific marketing titles on LinkedIn. And this is just one method of targeting in terms of job titles. We can target by industry, experience, memberships. The granularity is why we're paying that premium. We can reach a very specific audience at scale on LinkedIn. In the education world, we call this scaffolding. These are the stats I showed you at the beginning. This is why LinkedIn matters. IT decision makers are there. B2B budgets are there. Why should we be there? It's an engaged audience. That's why. Outside of granular targeting, LinkedIn is responding to this question of how do we create demand too with buyer group targeting. This is a newer feature. Who's had to make a purchasing decision with others at your company or at a company? Show of hands. Yeah. Is it the case that the expert on the topic is the only voice in that decision, or are many people involved? Many. The point here is that your buyers, maybe in a group of buyers, maybe who don't have the job titles you're necessarily targeting, but have input on this decision. This is LinkedIn's solve to this problem. Now, some buyer groups are more qualified than others in terms of lead quality. So this is something we can test into. The advantage of LinkedIn is granularity, but there are ways to create demand on the platform while still reaching qualified buyers as well. Now, we're going to talk about creative again. This is your second reminder to work with a good designer, to have a good designer on your team, to pay designers. 70% of LinkedIn ads effectiveness, according to LinkedIn, comes down to creative quality. Thought leader ads, you may have seen these. This is a new ad type from LinkedIn. We're talking about creating demand, that top of the funnel. This is a way to do that. We want to get our brand message out there, some brand association started without promoting from the brand page. We can say, hey, our team has great ideas. Our team's talking about our product. Let's put $500 behind this and promote it. We see higher click-through rates with these. This is a demand gen strategy to get traffic to your website. Start that brand linkage process to get folks thinking about your brand. So again, this continuum of creating demand with something like a thought leader ad on LinkedIn to capturing demand with something more offer focused or more value focused. The point here is this happens at the targeting level. Yes, we know the tactics of reaching a broad audience and then retargeting to bring them in, but it happens at a creative level too. We want to vary our messaging to the audience and the funnel stage we're serving. So when do we activate, or when do we choose to activate on a specific platform? Sometimes the thought experiment of, if I could only spend money on what platform, what would I choose is useful. If you want to engage existing leads or audiences with qualified interests, you maybe want to spend a little bit less on your reach, Meta is the place to go. If you're a B2B company, if you're working in the B2B space, you know what your customer looks like. You're willing to pay a premium to get your ad in front of the right people. LinkedIn is the option for you. Any questions before we move on to Google? Yeah.
I'm curious what you've seen for meta ads and B2B.
Meta ads and B2B depends on the business. Meta ad, to repeat the question for the folks on the live stream, what have I seen from meta ads in B2B? What I've seen for B2B is lead gen campaigns on Meta can work really well with the right creative. What I would recommend for that is testing on platform lead ads. You may have seen this. You click on an ad, a lead form pops up in the platform. You don't have to leave. It's frictionless. It's easy. Versus going to a website and filling out a form there. You want to test those both in terms of cost per lead, what's generating a lower cost per lead. Typically it's on platform. Typically you see greater quality from folks who are coming to your website. So as with anything, you want to see what works for your business, what makes sense in terms of cost. But lead gen on Meta is a great method for B2B. Other questions? Let's dive into Google. As we said at the top, there are a lot of campaign types on Google. If you have a Google campaign or even just a Google account, you're probably getting a lot of emails daily from Google reps saying, hey, why don't you try this campaign? What if you spent more? What we're going to do today is give you a starting place for Google. There are a lot of different campaign types. We know search, video ads on YouTube. Performance Max combines all of Google's placements to reach folks throughout the funnel. Display, we know those display ads on websites in the sidebars and the headers, etc. Shopping ads, those product feeds at the top of your search experience. And demand gen, which also runs across many Google placements. These all have strengths. We've talked about the strength of search at the top. We want to capture express demand. Display is good for building brand awareness, putting your brand in front of people or retargeting people who have experienced your brand before. Video, raising that top of funnel awareness, putting your message in front of people. Performance Max, reaching people across all of Google's properties, taking advantage of their reach across YouTube, search, Gmail, if you've had ads in your inbox and didn't know why. Discover, Maps. There are even ad types we're not talking about that aren't up here. We're not talking about app campaigns, local service ads if you're in the services industry. There's a big menu here, but I want to focus on this left side. This is the most likely place you're going to get started. We have the challenge of breadth instead of depth today. If you have questions about other Google activations, I am happy to talk to you afterwards. But we're going to give an overview here. Again, we're talking about creating demand and capturing demand. Let's start with search. Let's say you're working with Newport Jazz Festival. You want to run a search campaign. You want to capture folks who may want to buy tickets. We can break this into two categories. We might target brand search, which is exactly what it sounds like. People searching for your brand by name, people searching for Newport Jazz tickets. The idea here is that we want to capture folks who are expressing interest in our product. The risk here is that we may already show up. It's less incremental, right? Because people who are already searching for our product or service are more likely to buy. So why would we activate on brand search? Well, let's say there's a lot of competition, a lot of folks bidding on your brand name on Google, and we want to make sure that despite our competitors showing up, we're still at the very top. That's one reason. Number two is maybe you're running an offer for a short period of time and you want to send folks to a specific landing page. So tickets are on sale this weekend. We want people to go to the discounted page. We might activate on brand search to make sure they end up there. Make sense? Other bucket would be non-brand search. Users who are still searching for qualified terms, related topics like jazz tickets, jazz festival near me, who maybe don't have that brand association, don't know to search for Newport Jazz specifically, don't know it's happening, but would still be interested. This is more incremental. These folks were less likely to buy anyway. They may have, but less likely than folks searching for us by name. These are the two areas in general, broad strokes. We normally start with search campaigns. Brand, non-brand. First, we want to make that decision. Does it make sense for us to bid on our own name? And then we can move on to non-brand from there. Yeah.
For you, is that one campaign or two campaigns that you're running?
For online, the question was brand, non-brand, is that one campaign or two campaigns? It's not would be my answer. It may not be two either. Typically. Yeah, typically, and again, this all depends on what budget we have, because budget will affect where we're activating in the first place. But those are typically separate campaigns. Brand will be one. The reason being we want full control over cost. The second being we want to run a second campaign with exclusions for brand terms to make sure that we're not cannibalizing our ad budget and what we're bidding on. Other questions about search? Check on time here. Oh, we're golden. The advantages of drinking a full pot of coffee before coming. YouTube. So with search, we're talking about express demand, capturing that. YouTube, we're talking about creating demand in general, reaching new audiences. YouTube is the largest streamer in the US, larger audience share than Netflix, other streamers. And we have the Google level of granularity and targeting. We can still reach folks in a premium TV on environment, watching YouTube TV on their televisions. And we can reach, the people my age watching a concert video at lunch on their phone. Runs the gamut. We can get granular with zip codes, with interest, with what they're in market for. All that targeting we can apply to a Google campaign applies on YouTube as well. Performance Max brings this all together. Performance Max is an ad type that is many ad types. It runs across all of Google's properties and gives Google a lot of control over how your ads show up and where they show up. So how Performance Max is we give Google a lot of signals. We give them some information about our buyers, their interests. We put a bunch of creative assets in, images and videos of all specs and sizes. And then Google puts combinations together to put them in front of the right person at the right time, in theory. The benefits of Performance Max is it's more automated. We have less control over the campaign. Google has a lot of information about our account performance, our customers, so they're making some of those decisions for us. We still have some control, but Google is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. The benefit here is that we expand our audience. So the goal of Performance Max in Google's eyes is to reach buyers throughout the funnel. People who are expressing interest, people who maybe haven't expressed interest yet, but may be in market to buy soon. So it's taking that actively searching segment, applying Google's machine learning, and bringing a lot of new folks into your ecosystem. This is something you want to manage actively, see where your spend is actually going, make sure it's going to the right people, but Google's at the wheel here. Okay, we have talked about a lot of platforms. We've talked about a strategic approach here with push and pull, but let's talk money. Where should you actually invest your advertising dollars? The funnel can be a planning tool for this. One way to think about paid media, digital advertising is what problem am I trying to solve? Does my brand have an awareness problem? Do folks not know that I offer a specific product or service? Or do folks not know my company at all? That's a brand problem, and that's a problem we can solve with paid media. Do folks not consider my product when they're evaluating different products or services? Do I have an education problem? Do I need to nurture that middle of the funnel and make sure that I'm guiding folks through to make sure that when it's time to buy, my brand is up for consideration? Or are folks not converting? Am I doing a good job of educating about my brand, but maybe a competitor is stealing traffic or stealing those conversions, or beating us on price? How do we solve that conversion problem? We've talked about a lot of media tactics. This is what a media mix could look like for these different problems. We've talked about ways to build awareness with YouTube ads, with display ads, showing up where people are, with with Performance Max campaigns, reaching folks throughout the funnel, or raising awareness on Meta. That's something we can do there too. We've talked about capturing traffic from folks who are considering things, searching for related topics. We can show up when they're searching for those things. We can drive consideration on Meta with something like a lead gen campaign, make sure folks are getting the information they need to make a purchasing decision. We can drive consideration on LinkedIn by reaching our qualified audience, the right job titles at the right time. And we can make sure that we are getting folks over the finish line with those bottom funnel tactics like brand search, retargeting on these platforms, making sure that we show up when folks are ready to buy. Now, getting practical. Where do I get started? We manage most when we manage small sometimes. We can start with one platform. I hope what I've showed you today is that these platforms are capable of handling a lot of campaign types. You can manage a full funnel campaign on Meta, on LinkedIn, or on Google. If you're working with a limited budget, don't feel like you need to be everywhere. I got a text from a gentleman who owns a roofing company in Indianapolis who wanted to know where to start. And the text was a Post-it note with 11 different ad platforms on it. And he said, can we be on Lemonade, a TikTok subsidiary? Can we be on TikTok? Can we be on Google? Can we be on YouTube? And I understand the pressure here, right? Like we're being told we need to be everywhere. Customers are everywhere. But really, we can focus and be where it matters. Tracking and implementation. We haven't talked about this a lot because we're talking about impact post setup today. But if we want to be able to prove results and measure results, we want to make sure that our pixels are set up properly, our accounts are set up properly, our campaigns are set up to optimize for the goal we actually have, and make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success. And then always be testing. Something that takes pressure off budget is treated as a test, right? Let's say, maybe this is less likely nowadays, but marketing stumbled upon some extra dollars. Maybe we can test something. We don't have to have $10 million, $5,000 to test something new. We can run a small test with $500 on Meta, on LinkedIn, $250 on Meta. We can still learn something by testing something new, testing one of these tactics we've talked about today. Thank you all. I've covered a lot. We're going to move to questions. Sorry, I didn't know if you were jumping in.
No, I was going to help you take questions.
Yeah. I assume we're going to have questions about implementation, budget, etc. Anything is fair game. Anything we've talked about, anything you want me to go back to and focus a little bit more on. I know we moved fast. So any questions you may have.
If anybody has questions, raise your hand.
Hi, so we just started running some Google ads. We started with search and performance ads, and we're in B2B as well. If we wanted to expand to LinkedIn ads, what would be a good starting point there? We haven't explored it yet.
Make sure you repeat the question for the.
Yeah, so the question was, B2B business has run ads on Google, focusing on search and performance max. They're considering expanding to LinkedIn. What would be a good starting point? The starting point would be a marketing strategy starting point. Do we know what our ideal customer looks like? What targeting is available on LinkedIn to match up with that? So do that initial research, that audit into, okay, is my customer targeting available here? LinkedIn, it probably is. Part two would be creative development. To set yourself up for success and learnings on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you have multiple creative assets. Kind of like we talked about with Meta, we want to learn what resonates with audiences. So distinct creative approaches, distinct messages, maybe something more offer focused, maybe for B2B, something more education focused, like a demo offer or a white paper offer, these kinds of things. And then having video in there too. In the feed, different ad types take up different ad inventory in that, video has inventory, image has inventory. Those are going to come with different prices. So by testing both, you can see what's cost efficient too. Does that make sense?
Are there any resources you recommend creating targeted with Google Ads?
Yes. Something like a good resource is folks in this room or rooms like this. People who have done it before, learn from other people's challenges, maybe mistakes, hopefully not mistakes. But Google Ads, the ubiquity of Google Ads, a lot of people are active there. So talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues. Google has a lot of resources. Their trainings are very product focused in that, you know, they want to get you up to date on new features. So there will be some stuff that's not as practical for getting the account set up, getting started on day one, but you can learn a lot about how the Google auction works, who is available to target, what ad types may align best with your business to make sure that you understand the playing field before you get started. So those are 2 starting points. You know, talk to friends, talk to colleagues, look at the Reddit forums a little bit, not too much, and then use Google's resources as well.
I saw a speaker once at Social Media Marketing World many years ago, and he was talking about LinkedIn advertising, and he said that he wouldn't run ads on LinkedIn if the lifetime value of what they were selling wasn't at least $50,000. Like that's just where the CPM made sense, like for their conversion funnel. Is that in line with what you're seeing, or like are you working with much smaller like goals, conversion goals when it comes to LinkedIn?
It's a little bit of both. As with any, sorry, I'll repeat the question. A speaker years ago said they wouldn't run LinkedIn ads unless the lifetime value of the customer was greater than $50,000. So the cost of media on LinkedIn wouldn't justify reaching folks who were buying for less than that. Is that still the case? The economics do work out that the larger your purchase value, the more it justifies spending a premium on ads. That's just true. If you are D2C or selling, you know, maybe coaching services that are priced at a lower price point than $50,000, maybe LinkedIn isn't your starting point. Maybe that's where the cost of media really comes into play for you, and you focus on Meta with that lower CPM. There are ways to bring down CPM without bringing down audience quality. It all depends on who your audience is, where they are. The tighter your audience is, the more the media is going to cost. So you want to consider all these things. To answer the question though, and not avoid it, yeah, LinkedIn works best for higher value customers.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
Google, you know, I had a call with Google Rep yesterday with a client account, and they just always push their automation and all their defaults. And I pointed out that the campaigns that were doing manual CPC were actually doing better than, you know, the automated bidding. So I'm curious where you fall on their recommendations, and then you can also talk about Performance Max. Why do I want to mix branded, non-branded, top of funnel, bottom of funnel, display, and search? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Can I just say, while you're answering them, we incorporate Meta as well, because they're pushing so hard to remove all controls. And I'm curious, merge those 2 questions, both Meta and Google. Should we be giving away the keys to the store, in your opinion?
I think I've been pretty calm to this point. You're trying to get me worked up. To repeat the questions, well, we'll summarize a little bit. Meta and Google are pushing customers and advertisers towards automation, trying to get us to buy into their automated ad offerings like Performance Max, like Advantage Plus options on Meta. The question is, why would I do that? There was a mention of a test that you know, a cost per click campaign was actually driving more efficient lead costs than a automated campaign on Google. Let's start with Meta. There are a lot of traps on Meta. If you've ever tried to set up a campaign on Meta, at every stage, they will try to get you to opt into automations that change the way your ad looks, change the audience you're serving to, treats the audience you think you're reaching as a suggestion instead of an input. So you have to really know your way around the ads manager and be vigilant, because even if you know your way around, this changes constantly. I took a baby break last year for 3 months with my newborn, came back to a different Meta interface with new automation traps. So it's a real problem knowing what we're serving and who we're serving to and how automation is entering our campaigns. Now, 2 things on the Google front, then we'll move to Meta. Last year, I would have agreed completely. I was testing cost per click campaigns against cost per lead campaigns that were more automated for a software client. Controlling cost of clicks brought more traffic to the site, brought down cost per lead because it was a volume play, right? We were driving more clicks. Conversion rate was constant across the two cohorts. So paying less for a click meant paying less for a customer. Paying more for a click on the automated side meant paying more for a customer. What's happened in the past year is that Google's algorithm has changed a little bit. When folks search for things, something called a query fan out is happening. And to avoid getting too technical, search is changing. People are searching for longer tail keywords and that they're treating search windows more like LLMs. So all of this is changing. Google is accounting for that. That can be a good thing. As part of that, they're pushing advertisers more towards automation to capture less predictable queries. And that's why Performance Max, why broad match search, haven't talked about today, but broad match just means you're putting in a keyword. Let's say I want to reach customers who want pizza. And maybe they search for pie with tomato sauce. If I have pizza as my broad match keyword, but they search pie with tomato sauce, Google may hopefully serve that ad to that customer. That's what broad match means. So because search is changing, because Google's algorithm's getting smarter, Performance Max, broad match are improving. I'm seeing in my campaigns, cost per lead is coming down across those campaigns. Cost per purchase is coming down. So I'm less skeptical than I was a year ago, but that is because an algorithmic change. That is not because of a tactical change on an advertising side. Another reason these things are important is because of AI. Showing up in the AI overview at the top of the feed, we have to be running broad match, AI Max, or Performance Max to show up there. So, give or take if folks trust a brand who's advertising an AI search, but if we want to show up there, we have to be using these more automated ad types. On Meta, I take a different approach. My campaigns are avoiding all automation. I see worse performance across automations there, so I am turning everything off. I don't work with customers who are in D2C retail. I have heard from colleagues that leaning into Advantage Plus. Yeah. Direct to consumer. If you have a retail shop, you're selling shirts, pants, etc. You have a product feed, and you want to send those ads to people. Maybe it matters less what specific product folks are buying, but you have a full shop that you want to promote. Automation can do wonders for you, right? Like Google Meta puts the right product in front of the right person based on what they're searching for. My clients aren't in that space, so I have less experience there. However, something more automated works there.
I found that Meta is getting passive aggressive now. Like when I turn off the Advantage Plus, it says, "Are you sure you want to reach less people?" And I'm like, "Yes, I only want to reach people in this city, not globally." And so but literally, their prompts now have gotten literally passive aggressive. But I still, and it's so for context, I run a lot of political ads on Meta, a lot, and I'm trying to target just a very specific municipality, like a city. If you miss that button underneath the map, you're targeting beyond the city, and it's 100% of budget spent outside that city is wasted money for me. But Meta's forcing me to do it if I'm not paying very close attention. So this is the trap, right?
Yeah, this is not just a Meta phenomenon. Meta is the most nefarious in my experience, but across platforms, DSPs or platforms are pushing advertisers more towards their automation, which takes away control from advertisers, not necessarily to better results. So get a second set of eyes on your campaigns as you're building them. Ask questions. If something looks weird, it probably is weird. It probably is the platform trying to push you into taking some control away.
Any other questions? No? I want to thank you so much. This was awesome. Thank you. And I know folks online really enjoyed it. And can folks connect with you?
Connect with me. I'm Tyler. I run a shop here in Madison called Lasso Marketing. We do paid media, digital advertising for folks at the top of the funnel, at the bottom of the funnel, on all the platforms we talked about today. You can reach me at tyler@lasso-mktg.com. I believe this deck will be shared with you, so you'll have this. I have cards too. Come up and talk to me. If you have other questions that you don't want to ask publicly, I understand. We can talk about it. But yeah, you can reach me. Thank you all.